In this video, we're going to look at the file commands. Now, file commands can be found here under the pull-down menu, or alternatively, from the icon menu, the assistant icon menu, you can select the file commands from here, and some of the file commands will be found directly underneath as child icons. Let's look at them from here though. File new simply completely wipes away whatever's currently on your screen and starts a brand new blank file based on the settings that you have saved in your system options. So whether you've got a grid switched on, your color scheme, whatever your current settings are for text. So it might be, the type of text you're using, the size, whatever it is that you had current at the time you saved your system defaults or your system settings will appear. So this whole screen will look and feel the way that you chose it to look or would like it to look when you saved your system settings. So for instance, if you prefer to run with a black background, set your background as black and apply that. Switch off the grid if you don't like to use the grid, or just use or don't use line colors, lines, and don't use lines, just use dots. And you may find that that is a more suitable environment for you to work with. You can set up your color schemes. You may not want black as your first color, or whatever it is, whatever color scheme you like, you keep that. Whatever text settings that you like, you might say, oh, well, I typically want to use 250 mil text as the standard sort of text that I'd like to use when I'm starting a new project. And once you've done all of that, you can then click on this tool, choose Set as System Defaults, and all system defaults sitting in here, including things like the smoothness of circles and your shift angle, the angle of movement of your cursor when you press down on the shift key. All of those things, they all get saved when you hit this button. So let's just do that now. So I'll go, well, in fact, I'll change it from 15 to 45 just to prove a point, and I'll hit Save as System Defaults. And I'm going to click OK, or actually, no, I'm also going to choose a couple of other things. Different color when moving or dragging left to right, and that's probably enough. Yep, I'm okay with that. Hit Save System Defaults. We wait a little while, and it will pop up with a dialog box saying that it has successfully saved the settings. Okay, which it has done here. Select OK. And then when I go File New, it resets the screen to exactly that. So now if I was drawing a line and I'm holding down the Shift key, I'll zoom right out to give you a bit of a feel. I can go anywhere, but if I hold the Shift key down, it's jumping to every 45 degrees because that's what I saved the settings as. These settings are exactly as they were when I saved them. I can't recall the old defaults, so be careful. Don't save willy-nilly. Only save the settings that you're absolutely certain is what you would like to use. When you open a new file, if you open a file and that file already had your previous settings in it, so I might just choose this one, for instance, it brings with it the settings that were saved with the file, and it overwrites your default settings. So it's only when you go File New does it reset back to the settings that were saved here. And so there's only one file that contains these, and so you really want to set this up the way that you like it to be for when you start a brand new project, unless you are using File New from Template. And we do encourage people to choose New from Template instead of File New, because this allows you to set up multiple files, multiple templates, and they are just CAD files. So I'll select that. So really there are templates, look here, that's actually found in your RealCAD template drawings folder. And if you were using Landworks CAD, that would have Landworks CAD. If you were using ArborCAD, that would say ArborCAD, and so on. These templates are pre-set and pre-configured with all sorts of settings, such as colors, the background colors, whether the grid is on, whether you've got sheets of paper that are preset. So let's, for instance, go A2 500, and I'll choose that as my template, and I'll select open, and it opens a whole new blank screen. So it's still an untitled file, but it's used the template to set everything up. If I do this, I can see that I've actually got a sheet laid out here, and I've got a working space dictated by this dashed line so that when I draw inside this area, it shows up inside this sheet. What I don't have is maybe a whole range of objects, such as library items that I might use commonly, or line styles, or pieces of text, or pieces of dimensions that I might use commonly. It would be really good if I did, because whenever I started a new file from this template, all of these elements would be ready for me to start working with. So when you do use File from Template, the first job you should do is select File and then hit Save As, because you really want to start a new project and give it a new name. I'm going to select File Save As, and rather than saving it in the sample drawings, I'll save it into, well, my documents would probably be a smart place right at the moment. So I'll just go to Documents, click here, and I'll go My Saved File, for want of a better name, and select Save. And now, instead of me working on a blank drawing, I am working on a file called My Saved File, which you can see in the upper left here. If I wanted, however, to actually save this as a new template with some new information on it, I might just add a little new information to this. So let's just choose some dimensions, and I'll throw a few dimensions on the screen, and I'll just pop those on there. That might be a dimension style that I'll use in the future. This might be a text style that I might use in the future. So I'll right click here, and I'll just choose a different font. Might choose a different font completely. Let's try Bell. So that might be the font. And I'm going to insert a little piece of text of that font. So I've got text here, and OK to that. And that says text. It's probably a little small. Let's just double click on that, and I'll say, no, I really wanted that to be 50 mil, not 5. Select OK. So that's a font that I might use. I might have library items, which I'll grab here. So I'll just select a single library item. I'll just go into the browse mode. I'll choose users, public. And in this case, I'll use RealCAD, and I'll go into my components. And why not? Let's just choose an architectural feature as the folder. And I'll say, well, look, I really often use, let's look at it. Let's say I often use this particular spire, and I'm going to place that in my drawing here. You can see it's way too small for what I was trying to achieve. Might just drag that out a little bit, make it much bigger. Hold down the Shift key to keep it, keep it the sort of size I want it to be. So these are the items that I've put into my template file because I'm going to use them in the future, and I may even have a line style that I want to use in the future, and it'll save me from sort of selecting it later on. So I'll say, okay, yep, this line style commonly going to be sitting here, and I'm often going to print at a particular scale, so you can change this. All these settings basically that you can change, all these elements may become part of your template. And then to create your own template, all you need to do is select File, Save As, only this time, instead of saving it as a project that I'm actually working on, I select Save As, and I go to my folder that I was in before. So local drive, users, public, the program that you're using, RealCAD, LandWorks CAD, ArborCAD, and so on, and you go into template drawings. And you give it a new name. And so I'm going to call this 01 so that it stands out at the top of my list. 01, I don't know, demo template. And I'm going to say save. And from this moment on, I now have this template available to me so that in the future, If I start with no template, if I just went to File, New from Template, I could choose the template, hit Open, and I've now got the template available. Still no name, give it a new project name, but at least I've got absolutely everything I ever need or am using very commonly already available to me to start drawing with. I could be ready to start adding these elements into my drawing or copying them in if I needed to copy them in and so on. So use template files if you can. They're very, very powerful and they save a lot of time and energy. Okay. Next item in line is the obviously save, by the way, is just saving over the top of your existing file. Save options we've already looked at. Saving options is saving the settings that are contained within this dialog box. And you can go through these each one of these individually if you wish. Most of the options are preset from the factory, from us, automatically, and they are common and popular. This will be a popular option for those with version 10 onwards, simply to allow the dragging action to show up as a different color on screen. It just helps your eye pick up which direction that you are moving your drag window in. So all you do is hit Set as System Defaults, and that's identical to me going up to here and selecting Save Options. Same command, same function. Okay, let me open a file. Open this one up. So, I may want to print this, and under the File menu, you've got Print options. Print Preview Window enables you to select the entire window that you see, and then it gives you a preview of how that's going to look before you then send it either to a PDF file or you send it directly to your printer. Under File, you also have Preview a Scaled Region, which allows you to choose an actual paper size, and it allows you to set your print scale. So in this case, it might be 1:200. Select OK, and then you've got an imaginary sheet sitting here, maybe 1:100, might right click out of that. Oh, these commands here, the print commands, these two, are also available right here, okay, and can be accessed directly here and are more commonly accessed from this quick menu. So same command, this time I'll choose a scale of 1:100, select OK, and that will fit on my sheet. When I click, I get my preview sitting here. Pressing Escape to escape. Under the File option, you also have Export, which allows you to take this current drawing and send it not to a CAD file, so not to a .cad file, but to a DXF file, which is an industry standard, and it means Drawing Exchange Format. If I select that, it literally just wants a name, and it's going to default to the standard name, but it's going to give it a DXF extension. And again, I just might put that in my documents. There it is there, and keep it the same name and hit save. That DXF file now can be sent to another person who has a different CAD program or some other type of vector editing software, and they will be able to use that in their software. All right. Same is true for the other export options. You have the ability to export it as an AutoCAD style DWG file, and less common, but still available, is IGES and stroked IGES, and also what are regarded as its Hewlett-Packard graphics language, which is essentially a range of stroked lines. So every single item in your drawing becomes lines and a series of strokes. In the traditional CAD programs, HPGL was a plotter language. So it was a language for driving pencil and pen plotters. The import option is exactly the same. When you import, the current file is removed. So you do not import over the top of your existing file. So for instance, if I selected import DXF or DWG, let's try DWG for the moment, and I wish to import from my documents folder, this smaller file, and open that and go OK. And there it is. So, Very easy to work with other people's drawings. They're not always identical in appearance to how they looked on the machine that would generated them, but you'll get an extremely close representation and it will be digitally accurate. Under File, you also have, and this is a very, very useful tool, the ability to email. So it just activates your email software. So when I select it, my email software opens up. By default, it tries to send an email to support@cad.com.au, but of course you can type in whatever person you wish to send your email to. So it's just a shortcut to your email software. And directly under that, you have the ability to find out information about what's in your file and who created your file. So you can enter information. I could put my name in there, I could put the date that I created it, and I could change the actual information here. I may not use the word author. It's just a text field. So I might call myself a drafter instead of author. And so this is just text information that gets saved with the CAD file. What it also does is it counts the elements in your drawing. Okay, so how many circles are there? How many components are there? How many groups? How many lines, planes, points, and texts? So all of that information gets gathered and shown here. And you'll also see when you look under missing references that if there are any elements that should be a part of the drawing but were in a separate file that isn't accessible, the reference files will show up here. In this drawing, there's nothing missing, but we will look at that in a future video and you'll see how to select missing items and potentially how to remove them. Well, press delete when you select them, or how to find them and bring them back into your drawing. Under File as well, you've got something very, very handy. It's called Find in Files. I'm going to select that. What it's going to ask here is, where do I want to look for files that I wish to open onto my screen? What path, what folder do I wish to look in? So I'm going to select Browse, and I'm going to go into my C drive, Users, Public, go back down to my RealCAD V10, and I want to look at my sample drawings. So it's not asking me for the file here, it's only asking me for the folder. So I select folder, and then it says, well, what text inside the drawing that you may have placed? So, words that you've placed as text inside the drawing, and it could be part of your title block, or it could be just part of the drawing itself. What files have those words in them? So I might type in the word lounge, and it will run away and find all drawings that have got the word lounge as part of the drawing itself. So when I hit find, it's listed these drawings that all have the word lounge in them. So I might choose this one here, house plan number 1, and open it. I won't save the drawing behind. And here we are. Here's the drawing, and here's the word lounge. So as you can imagine, it's a really good mechanism for locating files that perhaps were a project file. You might look up all the files that have the word Smith in them, and it will at least find all files with the word Smith in the title block name.